I'm Natalie Daniels, and this is Nicholas Connor. Nick has screened with us at several Liftoff film festivals. He screened with us at Manchester Liftoff and at LA Liftoff with his film Northern Light and Cotton Wool. Nick, why don't you introduce yourselves, a little bit about your background and what led you up to this point?
I'm Nick Connor from Manchester, England, and I'm a writer and director. In terms of my background, obviously I haven't always been a writer and director. I've slowly worked my way up through the ranks. Originally as a script supervisor and as a runner and intern, slowly working my way up, building a network of people that I in future work with. And then for about 5 years I've been doing professional film work, and for the past 2.5 to 3 I've been able to work on my own finance projects as a director.
Wonderful. So as a director, what is your ultimate goal? What is it that you wish to accomplish within the film industry?
For me, it's making films that speak to me and other people around me, that are kind of untold stories, unique, telling important narratives about people, whether it's child carers, stroke survivors, stories that haven't, in my eyes, been covered maybe either correctly or before at all. I think that's probably my aim as a director, is to just tell those stories that are untold, and in my own unique way.
Okay. Are there any filmmakers or films that really inspire you as a filmmaker? Are there any moments within those films that make you tick and make you want to then not recreate, but take their inspiration and make it your own?
Yeah, of course. So for me, Ken Loach and Mike Leigh, from like a social drama perspective, hard-hitting dramas about real people in hard situations. From that perspective, I would say those two filmmakers. And then from more of a film perspective, as a cinematic way rather than a character and social drama perspective, Xavier Dolan, who did like Mommy, Tamara Farm, because his films are just so, they capture you, the way that they take little moments and like quite mundane things and make something beautiful out of them. So that's quite inspirational. And then probably, the typical Martin Scorsese, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
It's
What's your favourite Christopher Nolan film?
Oh, controversial, because some people not a massive fan, but I love Interstellar. I love Interstellar. Just because I think there's so many layers about it, and also it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about love, and it's for a sci-fi film, not just romantic love, but like familiar love. It's so many different things. So I mean, that is probably his most intellectual piece. I love reading into that. Yeah.
Cool. So with your own films, what's been the biggest wall, problem, or obstacle that you've had to overcome?
Yeah. Maybe it won't be a problem for everyone, but for me personally, I would say probably age. Because, I was, how old was I? I was 17 when I directed my first, 16 when I directed my first fully financed film. So that was like an hour-long drama. Luckily, I had a good crew around me who cared, but, the second time around, when I made a film called Cotton Wool, which had about 5 times the budget, it was hard because I had a whole crew of people who have been in the industry for 10 years, 20 years, had BAFTAs and stuff. So it was kind of like, how do I sell myself to them? So that's kind of the battle, personally, at first. And once you get them on side, it's really collaboration then. So maybe that's a wall that maybe won't be a problem for everyone, but personally, it was something I had to tackle.
You say that your film was fully financed and your second film had a larger budget, which was also fully financed. How did you manage to get the funding for your film? So
we went through private investment for the first 2 films that we did, and that was through a production company called Chora Productions. So that's all privately financed. And then a film I made called The Narrator was done through BFI and Northern Ireland Screen, things like that, through the NFTS.
Oh, cool. Great. So did you go to film school then?
Oh, I didn't go to formal film school in a sense of, postgraduate masters. that progression of things, how
Yeah.
most people go to film school. I did do like a residential course, which was specifically looking at young filmmakers and emerging talent rather than people who'd gone to university. So yeah, I did that, and it was great, but it wasn't for me in terms of the film school way of learning how to make films. But yeah.
What would you suggest to filmmakers who are maybe starting their career and thinking about going to film school, or thinking about just getting out there and making their own projects? What would you suggest for the filmmaker to do?
Personally, just to make the films that speak to them. Whether if you want to make an action film, go and make an action film in your back garden. If you want to tell a drama, tell something personal. Just tell something that speaks to you in your own voice, rather than letting other people tell you how to do them, or just because you think other people will like that. Obviously, filmmaking's an entertaining art form rather than a personally driven, constant art form. So you do have to consider an audience, but make the kind of films that you want to tell, because then the audience will come to you, I think, personally. And film school may sway you away from that path. So it's important to find that voice before you do that, if you do that.
Yeah, I really think it's subject to who you are as well, because some people need that extra help maybe, or don't know exactly what they want to do within the film industry. And film school can open them up to lots of different roles.
Definitely.
Whereas if you know exactly what you want to do and you just want to get out there and do it, I think you should do that as well. So
yeah, definitely, because it's subjective, and I think everyone learns in different ways. I don't work well in a classroom. I deal well with authority, but not in a sense of being told how to do something that I feel like I've earned. It's a hard battle to each person to find what works for them. For some people, it'll be the best thing in the world.
Yeah. So you've talked about that an obstacle was your age. Is there any other obstacles that you faced whilst making the films? Anything else you'd like to raise awareness of?
Probably, we had a lot of weather problems on Cottonwall. We were shooting in February in the middle of Yorkshire, so we had to do that. We had a lot of obstacles there. We had a child who was only 6 or 7, who, you can only shoot with them for about, I can't remember the legalities, so don't quote me on this base. It's like 4-hour blocks, and you have to have a break every 2 hours or whatever, and and they can only shoot for so many hours in a day. So that, combined with weather, cars getting stuck in the middle of the road, our hotel not being able to get to the back to the hotel, it's just so many problems. And that was quite a big obstacle that we had to overcome, but well worth it.
So what would you say you've learned from all these obstacles, and that you'll take onto your next film or whatever else you're working on?
Other than not shooting in February in Yorkshire, just be careful of your obstacles. Maybe, it's one obstacle to shoot with a 6-year-old for 6 days, but it's another obstacle to have a 6-year-old for 6 days for a 40-minute film, to also have them weather, so just be aware of those obstacles, because I always think obstacles create, it's typical quote, sometimes the restrictions in life create the best creativity, but there is a line there, I think, where between too many obstacles that get in the way of creativity, and then a reasonable amount of obstacles, which any film's going to have. So just be aware of that, I'd say.
Okay, great. Do you have any other pearls of wisdom that you can share with our filmmakers or the network?
I'd say make films that speak to you and the people around you, but the main thing I'd say is to fail a lot. And enjoy failing in a way, because you might not be able to get the chance to fail again if you've got your career to a point where, and I think I've spoken to you about this before. It's kind of like Aaron Sorkin said that his career went from down here to A Few Good Men, with Rob Reiner. It's kind of two very extremes, and that he didn't get the chance to fail and try rubbish comedies, and so just find your voice and to try things out while you're not the biggest Hollywood director. So yeah, I think that'd be a kind of little pearl of wisdom.
Yeah, nice. No, I love that because, like, again, if you're at film school, you have the opportunity to create and essentially fail within the safety of a private screening. Whereas if you're
Yeah.
live and you're like out there, then yeah, you have to kind of,
Yeah.
it's what the world see of you. So no, I think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
really nice
definitely.
pearl of wisdom there. So what's one of the proudest moments within your film career? What would you say has been your biggest achievement so far?
Um, Probably just making the films that I make, just generally, a proudest moment is just looking back recently and kind of going, I shot two films when I was really young and people believed in me and people signing on that I thought, you know, why would they sign on for me? You know, but yeah, I think for me, it's just premiering Cotton Wool and having an audience there for me to see a film that's really quite personal um, to that large audience. I think that's probably my proudest moment, I'd say. Yeah.
Nice. So what are you currently working on? Actually, no, actually, let me go back. Is Cotton Wool available anywhere, or Northern Lights? Are you able to see that?
So Northern Lights is available on Amazon Prime, I think, at the moment to rent and I think
Mm-hmm.
buy. But yeah, that's Northern Lights at the moment. But Cotton Wool still kind of on the festival circuit. It's been on the circuit for about a year and a half, 2 years. But it's a hard battle because the film world is very different from the distribution world and the sales agent world, and we're still trying to find a distribution deal. We haven't openly seeked too much, but we're really kind of, that's the next step for the film, is to try and find some kind of place for it to have a larger audience and to hopefully sell. But
And are
hopefully
you
that'll be
looking?
soon.
And are you looking for film distribution or TV? Because being
Yeah,
that I've seen the film, I reckon it would fit nice in either. So
yeah. I mean, I would personally love TV because it's kind of had its own theatrical run in that I think festivals is the new theatrical run for very low budget films like Cotton Wool. Um, if we could have another theatrical run, great. But I mean, it's a 40-minute film, so it does, as you say, fit into that TV bracket of 40 minutes with 20 minutes worth of adverts or BBC iPlayer or streaming. So yeah, it'd be nice if it could have a life in TV. We'll see. I'd love it to. I really would.
yeah. So what are you working on now, or what's coming up?
So I'm developing two shorts. One a biopic based on a gentleman called Paul Skates, and that's dealing a lot with mental health. It's quite a dark, hard-hitting storyline. I've got the life rights and the book rights to it, kind of early stages of making that into a film, hopefully in coordination with the book release. And hopefully we get some good people on board with that. And then I'm doing another film, which is about a film star, and it's kind of an anti-romantic drama, looking into her life, and not necessarily the typical struggles with fame. It's more just looking at someone's life, who is in that limelight, but while they're in the living room watching TV, rather than while cameras are flashing. So they're the two projects, and then I've got a few feature development ideas that are swirling around in my head.
It's good to hear that you're so busy. So
Thank you.
yeah. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug or share with the network before we end our interview?
No, I mean, just get in touch. I love connecting with filmmakers wherever you're from. With Liftoff being based all around the world, whether you're in Tokyo or LA. If you're at any of the LA screenings, I'd love to hear from you. I love speaking to filmmakers wherever you are. Maybe I can learn something from you. If there's any young filmmakers out there who need a little bit of advice about how to deal with difficult crew or people who don't quite
Age.
yeah. I mean, there's bigger problems than age in the film industry in terms of diversity, but it is an issue that I think it can only be tackled by people talking about it. So feel free to get in touch. I'd love to share the film with everyone hopefully soon. And I'd love to see everyone else's films in the network. So yeah.
Great. Nick's actually a really active member on the forum, so if you do have any questions, I suggest heading there and asking Nick anything you'd like. Nick, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Natalie.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.